Hello, church. Today we're going to be reminded about the importance of seeking God's knowledge in everything we do. We find a story in 1 Kings chapter 3 about a man who sought God's understanding and his wisdom, and that was King Solomon. The chapter tells us that he was a man who pleased God. He was a man who feared the Lord, and he was asking for knowledge and wisdom to guide God's people. In the first verses of the chapter, we read that the people were actually sacrificing to idols. They were far from connecting with God. But King Solomon decided to do what was right in God's eyes. So we know that God comes to King Solomon, in a dream, and he says to him, "Ask me for anything and it will be given to you." But what we also find interesting is the way that King Solomon responds to God. He responds with gratitude, thanking God for allowing him to be in the kingdom, leading his people. And he says, "I'm a servant guide to yours. I am a young man and I need direction." And this is where we start reading from 1 King chapter 3, verse 9 to 12. And Solomon says, "So give your servant a discerning heart to govern your people and to distinguish between right and wrong. For who is able to govern this great people of yours?" The Lord was pleased that Solomon has asked for this. So God said to him, "Since you have asked for this and not for long life or wealth for yourself, nor have asked for the death of your enemies, but for discernment in administering justice, I will do that what you have asked. I will give you a wise and discerning heart, so that there will never have been anyone like you, nor will there ever be." And God keeps going into saying that I will bless you with so much more, because you were humble and you asked for wisdom and discernment. We can take that from King Solomon and ask God to give us wisdom and discernment, to seek for God's knowledge, to get to know him better, to connect with him, for God to guide our lives, to guide our path, to show us the direction that we must take, and understanding that when we fear the Lord and when we seek for knowledge, God is pleased. I want to finish today with one more verse from Proverbs chapter 9, verse 10. And it says, "The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and knowledge of the Holy One is understanding." When we fear God, when we acknowledge God's presence, then God is pleased and he gives us his wisdom, and we start showing that we want to be people who acknowledge God, but people who are wise and have discernment when taking decisions. When we look for God, in return, we will find him, and we will find his knowledge and wisdom in the process. Amen.